So you're looking at getting into astronomy, and you've seen the Celestron PowerSeeker 127EQ. It looks serious. It has a big tube, a fancy equatorial mount, and a price tag that suggests you're buying a real scientific instrument. But is the Celestron PowerSeeker 127EQ worth the extra money you'll spend? And that's the question we're answering today. You're in the right place if you're tired of confusing reviews. I'm going to show you exactly what this telescope delivers, and more importantly, what it doesn't. I promise you a brutally honest, no BS look at whether this is your gateway to the cosmos or a trip to Frustration City. For the best price, click the link in the description. But here's what surprised me right out of the box. The sheer physical presence of this thing. It looks like a telescope that belongs in an observatory. Therefore, you'd expect a certain level of performance to match that imposing look. The contrarian snapback. Appearances can be incredibly deceiving. And this telescope is the master of that particular magic trick. Stick around, because we're about to dive deep into the optical reality behind the shiny facade. NUC. A big telescope like this promises big views of Saturn's rings and Jupiter's moons. And on paper, it absolutely should. It has a 127 aperture, which is a decent light bucket. It comes with an equatorial mount for tracking stars. And it includes 2 eyepieces and a Barlow lens. This is a kit that screams value for money. Here's the first major rehook. What if I told you that the very design of this telescope creates an optical flaw that most beginner reviews completely ignore? A flaw that can make viewing the moon, something even a cheap scope does well, a genuinely blurry and disappointing experience. We'll get to that critical detail in just a moment. First, let's talk assembly. Because the journey to the stars begins on your living room floor. The unboxing experience feels substantial. You've got the optical tube, the mount, the tripod legs, a bag of parts, and the infamous manual. I say infamous because the instructions are about as clear as a nebula viewed through a soda bottle. You will spend time on this. You will question your life choices. You will develop a new, profound hatred for tiny Allen wrenches. My first joke: the manual isn't a guide, it's a personality test. If you can assemble this without yelling, you're a better person than I am. Therefore, budget at least an hour, maybe 2. For your first build. The equatorial mount is the main hurdle. It has axes with weird names like right ascension and declination. It has counterweights. It has locks and slow motion cables. To a newbie, it looks gloriously complex. But here's a minute promise. Once you grasp the basic idea, it's not rocket science. It's actually astronomy science. I'll make it simple for you later. The tripod is serviceable but wobbly. It's a classic weak point in many beginner scopes. Every time you touch the focuser, the image will dance around for a second or two. This brings us to the first major therefore moment. You have this impressive-looking telescope now assembled in your backyard. You point it at the brightest star you can see, eager for your first crisp pinpoint view. But when you look through the eyepiece, you might see a blurry mess. This is where most beginners panic. They think they've broken it or that they're doing it wrong. Therefore, the next section is crucial. Collimation. The PowerSeeker 127EQ is a Newtonian reflector. That means it uses mirrors to gather and focus light. Those mirrors need to be perfectly aligned, a process called collimation. Out of the box, they often are not. So your first real astronomical task isn't stargazing. It's becoming an amateur optician. This is the hidden tax of owning a reflector telescope. But don't worry, it's a skill you can learn with a simple tool called a collimation cap or a Cheshire eyepiece. N now, let's address the elephant in the observatory. N the optical design. I mentioned a flaw. N the PowerSeeker 127EQ uses what's called a Burr-Jones design. N it's a compound system with a spherical primary mirror and a corrector lens inside the focuser tube to fix the inherent aberrations. N it's a cost-saving measure. N, but here's the twist. N that corrector lens is notoriously difficult for manufacturers to align perfectly. N therefore, what you often get is a telescope that can never truly reach a sharp focus across the entire field of view. N planets might look soft. The moon's craters might lack that razor-sharp edge. N it's the telescope's greatest contradiction. N a large aperture capable of gathering lots of light, hamstrung by an optical compromise that muddies the details. N this is the core of the value question. N you are spending extra money for aperture size. N but you may not be getting the full, sharp resolution that aperture promises. N it's like buying a sports car with a high horsepower engine that's hooked up to fuzzy, blurred windshield. The power is there, but the view to use it is compromised. Joke number 2. This scope doesn't just show you the moons of Jupiter. It shows you what the moons of Jupiter asterisk might look like if you had really, really bad allergies. N so, what can you see with it? N let's be fair. N on a night of good seeing. After careful collimation, you will see Jupiter as a small disk with its two main cloud bands. N you will see the 4 Galilean moons as tiny pinpoints. N you will see Saturn's rings. N they will be small. But the wow factor of seeing that ringed world with your own eyes is absolutely real and profound. N the moon is a spectacular target, despite the optical issues. Craters, mountains, and plains are all visible in stunning, if not perfectly crisp, detail. N but here's the rehook. N what about the famous EQ mount? The equatorial mount you struggled to build. N is it a blessing or a curse for a beginner? N I said I'd make it simple. N the purpose of an equatorial mount is to track objects as the Earth rotates. N you align its main axis with the North Star. N once done, you only need to turn one slow-motion knob to follow your target. N in theory, this is brilliant. N therefore, in practice, for a beginner on this particular mount, it's often more frustration than it's worth. N the alignment process is finicky. N the mount itself is somewhat shaky. N the slow-motion cables feel cheap and can bind. N many beginners find they spend more time fighting the mount than enjoying the views. N a simpler altazimuth mount, where you just push up down and left right, is often easier for a total newbie. N so you're paying for a feature that has a steep learning curve. N but if you master it, it is genuinely useful. N this is the constant push and pull of the PowerSeeker 127EQ. N for every pro, there's a significant con hiding in the shadows. N let's talk accessories. N the included eyepieces, 20mm and the 3x Barlow lens are, to put it kindly, entry-level. N the form eyepiece provides a lot of magnification, but on this scope it's often too much. N the view becomes dark, fuzzy, and wobbly. N the Barlow lens compounds any existing optical issues. N therefore, your first upgrade if you keep this telescope won't be a new filter. It will be a decent, mid-range eyepiece like a 6x9 Goldline eyepiece. This one change can improve your planetary views more than anything else. It's an additional hidden cost. N now, for joke number 3. The finder scope. It's a little 5x24 optical finder. Trying to use it is like trying to find a specific grain of sand on a beach while looking through a straw. In the dark, While someone gently taps your tripod, it's an exercise in patience and profanity. A red dot finder is a vastly superior and almost mandatory upgrade. N so. Is it all bad? N absolutely not. N this telescope is a paradox. N it can deliver genuine moments of astronomical awe. N it teaches you hard lessons about collimation, mount alignment, and managing expectations. N for a certain type of person, a tinkerer, a learner who doesn't mind the journey. It can be a gateway. N you will learn more about how telescopes actually work by fixing this one's shortcomings than you would with a simpler, more perfect plug-and-play scope. N, but here's the final contrarian snapback before our resolution. N what if the extra money you spend isn't on the telescope's price tag? N what if the real extra money is in the upgrades and replacements you'll eventually buy to make it work tolerably well? N a better eyepiece. A red dot finder. Vibration suppression pads for the tripod. N therefore. The total cost of ownership is higher than the initial purchase. N this brings us to the ultimate resolution. N is the Celestron PowerSeeker 127EQ worth the extra money? N the answer is not a simple yes or no. N it's a it depends. N who is it not for? N if you want a hassle-free, sharp view right out of the box, look elsewhere. A good quality tabletop Dobsonian or a refractor on a simple mount will likely bring you more immediate joy with less headache. N if you have young kids and want instant gratification. This is not the scope. N the setup time and technical fiddling will kill their enthusiasm faster than clouds on a meteor shower night. N who might it be for? N the patient, curious beginner who sees the hobby as a project. N someone who values aperture size above all else for deep sky object hunting, where its light gathering shines, even with softer optics, and is willing to learn the necessary skills to mitigate its flaws. N the tinkerer who enjoys optimizing gear as much as using it. N therefore. Our final verdict. N the Celestron PowerSeeker 127EQ is not a bad telescope. N it is, however, a deeply flawed and frequently frustrating telescope that asks a lot of its owner. N you pay extra money for aperture and an equatorial mount. N you get that aperture, but with an optical asterisk. N you get that mount, but with a stability and complexity asterisk. N its worth is measured not in dollars, but in your personal tolerance for a challenging learning curve. Joke 4. Buying this telescope is like adopting a puppy. It's messy, it requires a lot of training. It might chew up your slippers or, in this case, your patience. But on a good night when it finally behaves, you can't help but love the thing. N if you go in with eyes wide open, knowing its infamous reputation and are prepared for the project, it can show you the universe. N but if your goal is a smooth, serene journey to the stars, your extra money is likely better spent on a different celestial vehicle. N you now have the full, unfiltered picture. N you know about the Bird-Jones optical compromise, the wobbly mount, the weak accessories, and the potential for real, meaningful views if you persevere. N the choice is yours. N if you've decided the challenge is for you, and you want to take the plunge. I've done the work to find you the best deal. For the best current price on the Celestron PowerSeeker 127EQ on Amazon, click the link in the description below. It's the fastest way to start your complicated, frustrating, and occasionally breathtaking journey. Clear skies.